going on, everybody? Welcome into the Bulls Report. My name is Patrick Seatman. Coming up on today's show, we have a big-time injury update around Lonzo Ball as he kind of went semi-viral on Twitter 2 days ago as a workout video was released, and he looks fantastic. So I'll share with you guys some photos on that here in a second. Then also, Michael Scotto, NBA insider, said the Bulls could be looking to trade Vooch if they do lose DeMar DeRozan, which is expected. But before we dive into that, guys, we got to support Lonzo Ball, as this has been a 2.5-year rehab for him. So if you want Lonzo Ball to play another game with the Bulls, just like today's video, get the good mojo heading Lonzo's way. Is, nothing would make me happier to see him back on the hardwood, repping a Chicago Bulls uniform. But here's some photos from the workout yesterday. Lonzo, he was seen dunking. He was going baseline to baseline, dunking the basketball. Also, he was seen navigating a pick and roll. It was awesome. So Lonzo's looking good. Honestly, when I was watching that entire clip, he's moving very well. And the biggest kind of, positive for the Bulls here is his jump shot looks great. It looks like the guy who shot 41% from three a couple seasons ago in those first 35 games with the Bulls. So, all good on the Lonzo side of things. I mean, look at, especially in this first photo, his head's damn near at the rim and also off two hands. Obviously, just tougher to jump, that way. He's dunking the basketball very easily. His handle looks good as well. So all positivity. And also he is going to be cleared for 5-on-5 scrimmages for the Bulls coming up here in I think it's about a week from now when they really ramp up for the Summer League. So I'm hoping Lonzo's going to be back. I wish he could play in Summer League. I think that would be cool. But, I fully expect Lonzo to be ready for Game 1 of the NBA season. That's awesome to say. Nothing's going to make me happier when he checks in at the United Center, Game 1 of the NBA season. That place will be absolutely electric. But, just taking a look at the Bulls guards right here, I love this kind of foursome they have. As you got Kobe White, the offensive-minded guard, 3-level scorer. He can get it done from everywhere on the basketball court. Then you got Lonzo. What's his, MO? Playmaking, the defensive ability, the ability to guard multiple positions on that side of the floor. And then Ayo is also similar to Lonzo in terms of he's a great point of attack guy, super long wingspan, super strong chest, where he, can focus on that side of the floor. And then also Josh Giddey, only 21 years old, elite playmaker, has, I think, 10 triple-doubles before the age of 21. It's only it's second most in NBA history, only behind LeBron James, which is unreal. But all four of these guards, they complement each other's games very well. And I think you really do have a future there with those four. Obviously, a big part of that has to do with Lonzo getting healthy. But Darnell Mayberry, who covers the Chicago Bulls for The Athletic, he dropped this interesting piece after the Bulls traded for Josh Giddey, talking about Lonzo's future in Chicago. He said Giddey's acquisition also further clouds the Bulls' plans for recovering point guard Lonzo Ball, who hasn't played since January 2022, but is expected to make a comeback next season. It's impossible to not view Giddey as insurance in case Ball doesn't return. By bringing in Giddey, the Bulls also might have signaled they're ready to move on from Ball. A trade or buyout could be likely. And, I kind of disagree with Darnell on here. I don't think a buyout makes any sense at all for Chicago because you wouldn't be receiving anything for that. And plus, with his contract right now of just 1 year's $21 million, I would rather have the Bulls just roll him out for the first, month or two of the season, see if he can up his trade value a little bit. And maybe another NBA team's looking at it and be like, damn, Lonzo looks like his old self. We'll throw you a heavily protected first-round pick. And that's the direction they go. And also, a trade right now makes absolutely zero sense. No team is going to give up any types of draft capital, any types of assets for a guy who hasn't played in 2.5 years. So a trade a buyout doesn't make sense for the Chicago Bulls. But Lonzo on his podcast recently was talking about if he will play Game 1, and he firmly believes that. This is what Lonzo Ball said. He said, yes, I firmly believe that. That's the plan I'm on. And I haven't had any setbacks, so I expect to play the first game. And, obviously that is great news for a guy who, his injury history is lengthy, man. Dating back even to the 2017 season when Lonzo was dealing with that shoulder injury. Then he had a meniscus tear in 2018, an ankle sprain, an abductor strain in the 2019 season, and then in 2021, knee tendinopathy, I believe I pronounced that right. But in 2021, also a hip flexor strain and a thumb sprain, and then health and safety protocols. That was because of COVID in 21. But then the meniscus tear that, started this whole saga of Lonzo not playing for 2.5 years, having multiple surgeries. And, what I think about the most with Lonzo is like, I wonder what type of player he is going to be because, Lonzo Ball, when he was in his prime, a couple years ago with the Bulls, he was that 6'6" guard, hyper athletic, can put pressure on the rim and really get it going in transition. Like, now are we going to see Lonzo where maybe he's a little bit more refined and he tries to play, more of that true point guard, like a guy like, Chris Paul or Tony Parker, for example, when originally he was going to be the guy that was just, pushing the ball up and down the floor, super, super athletic. And, I'm just curious, what type of version of Lonzo we'll get. But, I mean, Lonzo's been special throughout his NBA career, always has shown playmaking ability. And, the thing I love about, Lonzo's game the most is coming out of college, the biggest question mark with him was his three-point shot. He had the shooting motion or the shot form where it was coming across his face. And, you just can't really be too successful if that's your, jump shot moving forward. But on his career, man, I mean, he shot 36.4% from downtown. We saw that jump shot change to where it's he's got a very strong base, horizontal there, and it's just one fluid motion instead of what he had coming out of college. But in his career, averaging 12 points a night, 6.2 assists, 5.7 rebounds in 252 games played, and plus the defensive ability he had, like he was truly one of the most winning basketball players we have seen in recent NBA history. And I think if anybody, if had to, kind of mold your ideal point guard nowadays, he would be a bigger guy like Lonzo is, playmaking ability, can score, and also has the three-point shot. And that's exactly what Lonzo was. But let's show Lonzo some more love down in the comment section. I already asked you guys to like the video, to show him some support. But type those Zos, type those Zos down below in the comment section. So our man Lonzo Ball, your support. But let's dive into this report around Nikola Vucevic that they could move him if DeMar DeRozan leaves. Now, I am filming this a day before this video is going out. So if DeMar does end up going to the Miami Heat or maybe the Los Angeles Lakers or whatever team, we also heard the Sacramento Kings, that would just even add more fire to this Nikola Vucevic report. But, Vuc's time with the Bulls, it's been up and down. And, he could fill up the stat sheet better than anybody. Like, he is a walking 18-10 guy. I mean, just look at the stats over the last 3 years. I mean, it is literally 18 points a game, 10 rebounds, pretty efficient from the field. But I've always, my biggest gripe with Vuce is just his self-awareness he shows specifically, offensively. This past season, him shooting 4 3-pointers a game, and he shot 29.1%. And there was a clip that kind of went semi-viral on Bulls Twitter, and it was him playing in the FIBA games, and he passed up an open three to find the open cutter on the back door, and somebody tweeted out, was like, why can't we get that Vuce on the Chicago Bulls? And I wish you would take away the 3-point shot part of his game and just focus on that push shot and kind of lean more into the playmaking ability, because I do feel like he is an underrated passer. But if the Bulls are moving off Nikola Vucevic, where could he go? I think the number one team that's going to be calling is the New Orleans Pelicans, as they did lose Jonas Valanciunas after he signed a 3-year, $30 million deal with the Washington Wizards, which was incredibly interesting, because I feel like Valanciunas, he could have got a better offer from another team, but I think the Pelicans could be calling about him, as they don't have a true center on that roster. They did draft Yves Missi in the first round at pick 21, but is he ready to go and play impactful minutes, right away for the Pelicans? Probably not. So maybe they could be looking, at Vuce as a potential replacement for using Jonas. But also, what about the New York Knicks? Now, I'll make this point, in terms of a typical Tom Thibodeau center, as us Bulls fans know, like, he asked them to do a lot defensively, and I don't think Vuce, is a good fit in regards to that. But offensively, we know Tom Thibodeau asked his centers to be excellent at that push shot, cutting behind the driving guard. So just a little drop off, he has that push. And, Vuce shoots that at a very, very high level. And after the Knicks did lose Hartenstein to the Oklahoma City Thunder, don't know if they would want to give up any draft capital for him. But maybe the Knicks just view Vuce as a guy who can step in and be effective, for this ball club. But what about the Golden State Warriors as well? So, the Warriors, where they're at, they lost out on Klay Thompson. They weren't able to win, the Paul George sweepstakes that were going down in free agency. And maybe they could be looking at as a guy like Vuce who, honestly, it wouldn't be a good fit offensively, as they all are about, player movement, off-ball movement, and Vuce just doesn't really fit that MO. But maybe they just need more talent. Maybe they're looking at Vuce as a guy who can just be a consistent 20-10 guy and just, somebody's got to score the ball for Golden State besides Steph Curry. So I could see them throwing the Bulls maybe a second-round pick and Kevon Looney, to match salaries. But, my biggest take on, why I do want to move off, Vooch at this point has to do with the recent free agent signing of Jaylen Smith. And if I had to make the call, if I was Billy Donovan or any member of this front office, I would be pounding the table to move off Vooch because the Bulls need to let Jaylen Smith start and develop. He is honestly one of the best kept secrets in the NBA. I mean, checking out his numbers, after being the 10th overall pick out of Maryland to the Phoenix Suns, like he had a slow start to his career. Didn't really get too much tick in his rookie season. But then we saw in his second year, he was able to put up 9.2 points per game, 6 rebounds, effective there. Then when he went to Indiana in his first season, again, very similar numbers. But, specifically this last year, I thought it was his best. Averaging only 17 minutes a game, but he was still able to shoot 42.4% from downtown. He has that stretch 5 ability or stretch 4, and he can actually be a big 4 man if you do have a more prototypical center at that 5 spot. And on I think it was around 2.8 attempts per game in just 17 minutes. He was able to shoot 42.4%. And even though he did only average 0.6 blocks per game, he has that rim protecting ability. I love the way he just goes up vertically every single time. He doesn't really get himself in the foul trouble too much. And, listen, Jaylen Smith has untapped potential. And, as the 10th overall pick, like coming out of Maryland, I was very high on him. As actually his Maryland team kind of got robbed of a chance to go on a run during March Madness because that was the COVID year, so they didn't have that tournament. But, maybe the Bulls could be looking at Jaylen Smith as the center of the future. And with where the NBA is heading right now, you need guys who can spread the floor. I mean, look at the Boston Celtics. Their 5-out offense, that they was the driving force of them winning the championship. I think a lot of teams are going to try to replicate that. And the Bulls now have a guy in a 24-year-old in Jaylen Smith. Just let him develop. And the best way to do so is you move off Nikola Vucevic and you get him more minutes. But you guys let me know. Will the Bulls trade Nikola Vucevic? Give me a Y for yes or an N for no down in the comment section. Curious to see what you guys have to say. If I had to predict it, I'm going to say Vooch is on this roster this upcoming year. I just don't know if there's any trade suitors out there for the Bulls big man. But if we get any more news around this basketball team, we'll have a video for you guys ASAP. So make sure you guys are subscribed here to the Bulls Report on YouTube. Closing in on 8,500 subscribers, so really do appreciate it. But we'll see you guys next time. As always, go Bulls.